I stood in the living room, my heart pounding, as Mr. Thompson, the lawyer, calmly announced that the house legally belonged to me. For a moment, the room went completely still. The look on my stepmother Vivian's face was priceless, her flawless, salon-perfect hair suddenly seemed lifeless, and her hands trembled as if she couldn't believe what she just heard. Her kids, Lily, 20, and Max, 23, looked at each other in total confusion. Their faces drained of color. It was hard to believe how everything had led up to this moment. Just a few months ago, I was in my dorm room when my phone buzzed. Seeing Dad's name flash on the screen, I smiled. He usually called on weekends, but this was a Thursday. "Hey, Dad," I greeted cheerfully, but his voice was heavy, strained. "Terry, sweetheart, I need you to come home. There's something serious we need to talk about." My stomach dropped. Midterms were coming up and my schedule was packed, but something in his voice made me pause. "I can come in a week, Dad, is that okay?" I asked. He hesitated, then said softly, "Yes, that's fine. I love you, Terry." Those 7 days dragged endlessly. I couldn't focus on anything. His tone kept replaying in my mind. When I finally got home, Vivian opened the door. Her usual fake sweet smile was gone. She looked stiff, cold. "He's in the study," she said, barely meeting my eyes as she led me down the hall. When I saw Dad sitting at his old oak desk, I froze. He looked so frail, so small. His clothes hung loose, his skin pale and tired. "Terry," he whispered weakly, "come here, sweetheart." I rushed to him, hugging him tightly, fighting back tears. He took a shaky breath and said, "The doctors found cancer. Terry, it's advanced. They don't think I have much time." My heart shattered. The room spun, and I felt Vivian's arm wrap around me as everything blurred into disbelief. After that weekend, I called Dad every day and took the train home every weekend. At first, Vivian acted kind, almost supportive. She'd greet me with a warm smile, cook my favorite meals, and pretend everything was fine. But over time, the warmth faded. The smiles disappeared. Soon, I'd come home to short, forced nods. At dinner, she'd sit across from me, quietly pushing food around her plate without saying a word. One weekend, I walked into the house and froze. My room had been completely taken over. Lily had moved in, and all my things were gone. Furious, I stormed downstairs. "Vivian, what happened to my room?" I demanded. She barely looked up. "Your dad thought it made more sense since you live on campus," she said flatly. Dad looked exhausted, unable to even meet my eyes. When I checked the garage, I found my stuff crammed into 3 cardboard boxes. The message couldn't have been clearer. I was no longer welcome in my own home. As Dad's health declined, he was hospitalized. When I rushed to see him, Vivian actually tried to block me at the door, saying he needed rest. Thankfully, Aunt Grace, Dad's sister, stepped in and let me through. I spent hours sitting beside him, holding his hand, listening to his faint voice as he reminisced about Mom and our old days together. One afternoon, I came home early and overheard Vivian on the phone. She was already planning a full renovation of the house. My blood boiled. When I confronted her, she shrugged and said coldly, "Life goes on. Terry, we can't sit around feeling sorry forever." That's when it hit me. She already thought of the house as hers, even before Dad was gone. Then came the day of the will reading. When Mr. Thompson announced that the house belonged to me, Vivian completely lost it. "That's impossible. This is my husband's house," she screamed. But Mr. Thompson stayed calm and explained that the house had originally belonged to my mom, and after her passing, ownership transferred to me. Lily and Max just stared at their mother, stunned. Vivian's world was falling apart, and she knew it. She threatened to take me to court, but I wasn't scared. She had no case and she knew it. The police even got involved after the damage she and her kids caused to the property, and they were forced to leave. When they finally drove away, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. For the first time, the house that held so many memories of Mom and Dad truly felt like mine. I called Aunt Grace and said, "It's done, Aunt Grace, the house is mine." Her voice was warm and steady. "I'm so proud of you, Terry. I knew you could handle it." I handed the keys to Aunt Grace and left instructions for the renovation. As the train pulled out of the station, I felt the weight of months of tension lift from my shoulders. Back at college, I threw myself into my studies, finally able to breathe again. A few weeks later, Aunt Grace sent me photos of the renovated house. It was beautiful, just like it had been when Mom was alive. I found the perfect tenants, an elderly couple who loved old houses and promised to take good care of it. Signing the lease gave me closure. I never heard from Vivian, Lily, or Max again. Sometimes I'd wonder how things might have turned out differently, but those thoughts never stayed long. The past was behind me. It was time to move forward and live my life on my own terms.